that mean? So we're going to be talking about masking today, your stamps, layering your stamps, and we're going to be doing that with a fall project. Here behind me, this is my prototype. I was practicing at home the other day. I always like to practice a few times before I do it. I've masked several times, but not with the pumpkin like this. So then I did this one. Now my blending, well, you can't really see it in the camera here, but the blending is fun. I'm still learning the watercolor, like the shading and the light, all that. But I know you guys will be forgiving to me if my pumpkin is not perfect. Okay, so really quick, does anybody out there have the Fruitful Harvest stamp? This has got to be one of my favorite fall stamps. It has the pumpkin, and of course it has some leaves for fall. It has, let me switch the camera angle so you can see better. It has, let me move the mask out of the way. It has some apples, some wheat, and there's a nice view of the apple looking down. That's a nice one. And then the seeds, some acorns, and the different kind of leaves, oak leaves and maple leaves and all of that. So these are fun. You can use these for several different projects. I'm going to stick these to the side because we don't need them right now. But they also come with the pumpkins, and that's what we're going to be using today. The pumpkin, this is the small pumpkin. And then we have a leaf, just a single leaf with a stem and a curlicue. And then we have the long vine with the leaves. And of course, the big pumpkin. Well, we're going to create a scene with this, but if we were to stamp, if I was to stamp my pumpkin and then stamp the leaf on top, you would see all of the lines. So I'm going to show you today how to block out the back part of, so you don't stamp over what is already there. That's when the masks come in. If you notice, I went ahead and I cut my stamps apart. I left them on the original backing that they came on. Generally, if you don't have to mix your stamps like the letters, I go ahead and I cut them apart just because they're already on here. And you can see, let me show you. So the picture is on the back. So when you're placing it, you can actually kind of see exactly where it needs to be. And you don't ever have to worry about it not sticking because it's already stuck on there after you wash it. Now, you're probably wondering, well, how do you keep these all together and not lose them? Well, these IOD envelopes are fantastic for that. What I do is I have one for each stamp. I cut out the picture just to make sure it fits in the envelope. It's a little long, so I just cut the top and the bottom off. But I like to keep these because they give you different ideas and they show you what's included in the stamp. So this is I always keep this part. And then you could just stick all your loose pieces in there and they don't get lost. Oops, put it in front. Now, that is what is included in the stamp, but also you get these masks, which come in their own separate envelope. Keep these envelopes. These envelopes are fantastic for keeping your masks separated and in good condition, because if you don't do that and you shove it all in the envelope together, your mask will get all wrinkly. So what I do is I just keep these. Now, they do self-seal because it has that sticky part right here. Hey, Carla. What I do is I pull this out. Let me move this over here so you can see better. And you notice it's really sticky. So when I reach in to grab these, I always get stuck here. So a trick to not having that always stick to whatever you're pulling out is I just fold it down and then just let it stick to itself. And then that way I can pull anything in and out without getting stuck on that sticky part. I've learned the hard way a few times on that one. So I do that, and then I can pull out my mask and I can stick them back in. But if you keep them in these little envelopes, they will make your life so much easier when you're sticking it all back together, because it keeps everything kind of like organized, but it's all in here. And then what I do with these is I have a bunch of, oops, I got ink somewhere, or paint. I take a bunch of these envelopes and I put them in the scrapbook containers. They're like plastic. They're about 4 inches tall and they snap. And you can shove all the envelopes in there. And they label on the outside which stamps are in there. So they're easy to find. All right. So that is just one tip of the day. Make sure you keep your stamps and your masks parts. Let me grab this one out because we're going to need this. All right. So here is the board. We're going to do something similar to this. So we layered or masked the pumpkins and the leaves. Here, let's see that. It's upside down, but you get the gist. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, generally, when you're painting your layers, you don't really need to worry too much about the masking, but if you're going to have it watercolor, you definitely need to, or if you're going to lay it out and it's just going to be the color of the stamp ink, then you definitely want to make sure you're using your masks. All right, so this is just a big board with a little handle. And so this is perfect to lay down in the middle of your table. So I don't want to put too much on here because I'm going to just put like a couple candles and some decorative items there. And, oh good, Peggy, I'm glad. Or you can even put like little plates with cheese and crackers, but this makes a great centerpiece for your table. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I already have out here, I'm going to use my big pumpkin, my little pumpkin. I'm going to use the vine because I think the vine is divine. Sorry, little cheese there. And I'm just going to kind of lay it out how I want it. I'm going to do it a little bit different than I did my last one. I just got a little bit of paint. I already have my paint out and I'm getting it everywhere. I'm not known as the neatest crafter in the world, but I do like to have fun. All right. If you have any questions along the way, go ahead and throw them in because I can't see them. And, oh, look at this. I can put this one up. Can I? I think so, right? Maybe not. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Peggy. Yay. Okay. All right. So I love this one because this one is the little leaf. Let me see if I get it better in an angle. And it's got part of a stem, but it also has a little curlicue that are on those pumpkins. So we definitely want this one to be in the forefront. So we're going to want to stamp this one first. And the vine. So I'm going to put the vine kind of connected to the pumpkin stem. I want this guy to be over here. And we're going to connect like this. So let's put it like, there we go. So it's good. This will be the ultimate layout. Now, whatever is on top, I will need to stamp first. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull out my big pumpkin and I'm going to set him aside. And I'm going to put this back where it was. Let me just double check. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ink pad. And I'm going to ink my stamp. Here's another tip. Always keep these plastic pieces that come with your stamps, the cover part, because it makes a good barrier. So I can go ahead and stick the stamp on here and I could either bray it or I could ink pad it, but I don't have to worry about getting ink anywhere on my project because I have this little barrier here. So always save these because, well, you can tell I've used it. There's ink and paint on it. So I'm just going to apply the ink from the ink pad. Now, normally I like to use my brayer because I feel like I get a more even coat of paint. And when I say brayer, I just normally take my brayer here and I just roll it. I'm not going to do that today because I need the ink to dry a little bit faster. So there won't be quite as much ink, or at least that's what I feel. The brayer seems to give you, I think, a little bit more ink. All right, so when I feel like I have enough ink on there, I'm going to take it. I'm going to see, I think I missed this part here. I always get nervous. I only get one shot here on TV here. Okay. All right. Put that aside. I'm going to move my plastic piece, and it was right about here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in place. Once you put it down, you're committed. Leave it there. Don't move it. And now give it a firm push. I'm rubbing all the decorative, the little lines in the leaves because I want to make sure I get a good impression. Making sure I keep one hand on the stamp so it doesn't move and pushing with the other one. Okay. Ta-da! So there are my pumpkin leaves, my vine. Now I'm going to connect this one to it. So I'm going to use my stamp ink pad. And we're going to apply some ink. Oh, good. Me too, Pam. I'm ready for fall. You're in Indiana. How hot is it there? I'm in Florida, and it is super, super hot. All right, so I want to kind of continue the vine up, the little curlicue in the leaf. And there we go. Oh, let me show you another trick. This is a good one. I love this trick. So what I do is, like, in between, if you don't have a chance to wash your stamp right away, take a baby wipe and just get most of the ink off. You can scrub it later. And then what I do is I have this. It's for bottles or glasses, and then you just stick it in there, and it'll dry like this. And then afterwards, I'll take it over to the sink, give it a good scrub down, and just let them dry in here. And that way they don't bend and they don't fold, they don't fall over. So let me get my vine and do that real quick. So, and those were really cheap. I actually was lucky. I found my bottle tree dryers at a thrift store. I think I got 3 of them for $2. Worth every penny. Oops. My dad is calling. Sorry, Dad. Love you, but I'll call you back later. Okay, so I'm just going to stick that in my little rack and let it dry. All right, so now I need to put my pumpkin on. I don't know if I moved him or not, so I'm just going to put this back here and kind of line it up and see. Nope, I like where it's at. So I'm going to ink my little pumpkin. And I'm just using the IOD ink pad with the black ink, which you can see that I use a lot of it. And a little messy, but okay. Stick that aside. And put that right here. I'm going to put this pumpkin out one more time just to be sure. This is already pretty well dry because I use the ink pad and not the brayer. The brayer puts on a little bit more, like I said. And okay, I want it to be down just a little bit. So there we go. So I'm going to stick it right here. Again, once I put it down, I commit. I don't want to move it or pick it up. I want to hold it in place with one hand and rub with the other, making sure I get all the lines. Okay, now this pumpkin is a little bit harder to see on camera because I'm looking and I can see that it is. I can see it here fine. It's because there was a knot in this board. Next time I do this, I'll know not to put it on a knot. All right, let me wipe this down just a little, get the majority of the ink off. Put it in my little bottle tree. Okay, so now this is where the masks come in handy. You can see my little curlicue in the leaves here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find that mask, which is right here. And I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to put it right here on it to cover it up. Humid in the 90s. Yep, sounds like Florida. Whew. Okay, now I'm going to find this one here. And I'm going to put it right in place. So it's totally covering the design of the stamp, and you can't see it. It's not matching up perfectly down here, which it's okay because the pumpkin's not going to reach that far, so I'm not worried about that. And then I need the pumpkin for right here. Okay, so I have all my masks lined up. This is how I want it to be. I'm covering it up because what I'm going to do now is I am going to take my large pumpkin and I'm going to stamp it right on top of the masks. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is on top is because this will make it look like the pumpkin is beneath the leaves and this little pumpkin. Because I'm covering it with the masks, whatever part I have ink on this part of the stamp will just go onto the mask. And when I pull it up, everything up, you're only going to see the part of the pumpkin stamp that was able to touch the actual board. Ooh. Indiana, you guys sound very hot. Now, if you know any other fall people like me, make sure you tag them in this video or share it with them because this is such a fun project. You can do whatever kind of layout you want. You can even add words. You could do happy fall, y'all, for you Southern folk. You can do pumpkin patch. You pick. There's all kinds of sayings you can do for fall. Fall is my favorite most of all. You know, there's so many. I'm not going to put anything like that on mine today just because I want it to be minimalist. So that way when I decorate it with my candles and everything, that you can see just the design that I created. All right, so my pumpkin is inked and it is ready to be placed on top of the masks. I need to stand up for this part. All right, so I need to make sure I put it where, here we go. So I'm going to put it down so you can see I'm putting it on top of my mask of the vine and the little pumpkin. Now when I go ahead and I push down, making sure that this pumpkin doesn't shift because I don't want my masks to shift. I want it to just give me a good impression of exactly where I put it. So I'm making sure that I rub every little part of this pumpkin to make sure I get all the ink off. Sometimes when you have boards like this, they're concave or arched the other way. So you want to make sure that you actually push down in it. All right, here we go. Let's see, I'll get my glasses on for this one. Oh, thank you, Linda. I appreciate it. This is a good one because masking can be kind of tricky or intimidating, but it's super easy. Okay, here we go. So when I pick this up, you can see my pumpkin. Oh, thank you, Marcia. I appreciate that. Yay! Good. I'm glad you guys were learning. Okay, so now you can see the pumpkin stamp. You can see on the mask itself the impression of the stamp. But watch when I pick this up. That's probably not the best one. It's a little dark there. Let's do this one. Woo! You can see, let me lift it up to the camera, that my pumpkin looks like it's now behind the vine. Yay! Success! All right. So I'm going to give that just a quick minute to dry. And then next what we're going to do is we're going to actually we're going to color this in. Now, I'm still learning my shading and watercoloring and all that, but I have a new medium that I'm playing with, and it is super easy. It's just sometimes trying to decide the shadows and all that, where my light source is coming from. Oh, Pamela, I got to put that up there. Did that work? Yay! And Maria, thank you. And Carolyn, thank you. I hope with any of these tips I gave you today, or even how to do that, I'm so glad. Even if I just help one person, if I help you, I am happy. I love being part of the IOD TV team. Okay, so now the fun begins. Well, more fun. Um, I'm going to do the monochromatic or like the whitish pumpkins. A blue pumpkin, like the greenish, they're called blue, I think, but they're actually kind of green. Those pumpkins would be really cool to do too. Now, the orange, everybody does orange pumpkins, so we're going to do the stay to what I've been practicing. All right, I already have my color palette out here. So this is the color of the pumpkins. I have a hint of orange just if I want to put a little bit in there. And then I have for my shading, but I also have for my leaves. And my water source. Let's stick it right in this little, there we go. I'm going to be using more water than paint because the paint, it goes a long way here. And I want some of these lines to show of the pumpkin. If they disappear, not a big deal. I can always go back with a little bit of some black paint, or I can take a Sharpie, which it's not the best idea to do, but you can do it. Yeah, I was supposed to be on July 4th, but I took that day off. But I am on every second and fourth Monday of the month until I'm not sure when. But I enjoy being here. So, okay, without any further ado, let's get started. Let's see. Can I zoom in? I would love to take you a little bit closer. Let me see if I can. Nope. I think that's going to be it. So let's just go ahead and get started. So I'm going to wet my area first, and you'll notice as I'm wetting this, look at that. Isn't that amazing? The IOD ink, it doesn't smear. It's on there, and I haven't even sealed it. So I'm just doing my pumpkin because I'm going to start with my pumpkin. And again, I am new to the blending of pumpkins and other small items. I'm really good at blending furniture and matching like decoupage paper and colors and all that, but this is new for me. So be kind. All right, make sure I get the pumpkin part behind the vine. So I'm just kind of wetting it down. Now I'm going to start with the second color. So not my lightest color, but my Thank you, Maria. I'm glad you did too. All right, it's already getting a little thick where I'm losing some of the lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some more water. I'm going to stretch it out. So right after this, I get to get in the car and drive for 5.5 hours. Yay! My daughter has to be out of her college apartment to move to another one. And the way they do it, if you have children that have been in college or in college, you know that there's always a little over gap of time. She has to be out for 2 weeks before she can move into her new place. So we've got to go up there and get the rest of her stuff. So that's what I'll be doing. I'm thinking, though, she's old enough, though, she can help me do the drive. So that'll be good. So I can maybe edit pictures of this in the video and get it up on my YouTube. Oh, so if anybody is interested, this is the Fruitful Harvest stamp. And in the description, I have included a list or link, excuse me, of all the online retailers or your local retailers. So go ahead and check it out and see if there's one near you so you can go get this stamp. Okay, so you can still see the black lines. I'm a little bit closer, so I can see them better. The camera doesn't always pick it up perfectly. Now, let me get right back here. I need to get a smaller brush because there's a little teeny area back here of the pumpkin. That is not in the vine. There we go. And the rest of it is behind. Thanks, Judy. Isn't it, Betty? Pack, move up, move out, just to move them back in. But I don't mind it at all because for 5.5 hours I have an undivided attention of my daughter, which, well, unless of course she's on her phone, but she's in the car with me. Okay, so now I'm going to go with a little lighter color and some water. I apologize if I start humming. I'm used to creating with music in the background. And you can't do that because if Facebook hears it, they will shut down your live. So. Yeah. Okay, I know it's looking like a hot mess, but this is just part of it because pretty soon I'm going to go in and shade with some darker. And I don't think you want to sit here and watch me paint all day, so I'll go about it pretty crisp, pretty full and fast. Let's see. So now I'm going to take some of this darker color, which this is, I love this color. This is a pretty color. Do some shading. Can you see the difference? Yeah, it's kind of hard with this. I do have good lighting, but it's always a little bit tricky when you're trying to get details on the camera. This is for shading. With the leaf in the vine placing, you don't get to see the full pumpkin, but that's okay. Because in real life, if you went to a pumpkin patch where they were still growing, or you picked patch, you would see that there would be pumpkins just like this with the vines. I'm just going to shade all that in. With the vines growing on the pumpkins. So it's pretty realistic. All right. I'm just going to go over with a little bit of water just to kind of blend, smooth it out. Again, keep in mind I'm going a little bit fast just because I'm trying to save time for you all, so you don't just have to sit here and watch me create paint. I, of course, will always put, I'll have a finished picture so you can see. Okay, so I'm going to shade in a little bit around the stem and the back. All right, so there is Mr. Pumpkin, the first one. Shade over here. Now let's go ahead and work on the vine just a little bit, just so you can see, so it'll come to life a little better. I get a different paintbrush. Get some more water. So anybody, it's just some clay-based paint. Any clay-based paint will work. You can use watercolors. Oh, cool. Yes, I want to take a class on watercolors and the blending of it because it just intrigues me. I watch videos on it, and some people are super, super talented, and I would love to be like that. Okay, so I blended a couple of greens here with some water because I want to be able to see the vines and the leaves. It's a little bit brighter than I wanted, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of, let me get a little bit of watered down black. Yeah, there we go. So now it's a little bit darker green, which would be more realistic. And I'm keeping it very light so you can see the lines. Let's do the vine. Ta-da! All right, so let's do this up here so you can kind of see. So this comes to life better. Now I just envision this on my Thanksgiving table, and I have some candlesticks, maybe, I don't know, little cute decor, you know, maybe some more white pumpkins. A little bit more ginger black. Let me show you my palette's off, but this is what I'm doing right here. I'll see if I can put it in the screen so you can see it. But definitely, I would keep it on the thinner side so you can make sure you can see the lines of the stamp. Now, watercolor obviously is going to react differently to this painted wood. On the watercolor paper, or the paint, the canvases, such a different look. All right, let's go up here to this one. In watercolor paints, they just go so far. And if you ever are using these or just watercolors, and you put too much on, there's these pens that you just fill with water and have a brush tip, and you can just use that and it'll spread. Oh, my dad keeps calling. Dad, I'll call you back. I love you. And that pen and the water will just reactivate the paint and spread it out. Okay, so here we go. It's coming to life. Now let's do the stem. It looks a little weird here. It's just because some parts are drying faster than others. But okay. Oh, good, Kim. I'm gonna put that up on screen. If you do this, please tag me at Creating with Shannon. If I see it, I like to give stuff away. So if you ever create something, always use the hashtag Creating with Shannon if it's something you have seen with me, because I like to, I don't know, surprise people with different things. Oh, my dad keeps calling. We're just going to let this one go to voicemail. Here we go. I'm just sorry. That was off camera. I'm just mixing some colors. I'm going to get the stem. Use a little bit of water. All right. It's going to be darker. It's still in the green because I'm using that same brush. But it is a different green, which works. And the leaf is in front of it, so there we go. You don't get to see the full stem because of the leaf. Ta-da! Okay, what do you guys think so far? Do you love it? Oh, Ireland. Welcome. I'm a Mick, or my maiden name. All right, so let me just quickly, since I have some green on my brush, finish these off really quick. Add a little bit of highlighting color in there. Some water. I'm trying to make the leaves each, different shade, just for some variety, because all the leaves will not be the same color. This one's a little bright, so I'm going to take some of that color and put it over here on these leaves. Just absorbing some of the extra water I put on there. There we go. And I'm going to finish off my vine. And the little curlicues. That's a little bright. I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some black and I'm going to blend that in there. Tone down that color. There we go. There we go. So the only thing left is this little pumpkin. So we're going to do this little pumpkin really quick. I just want to show you that once you can't really see, well, you can see it, but you can't see it. Oh, I'm sorry, Betty, you lost us. Guess what? It will be available on replay or it'll be available on my YouTube channel. So watch it again if you want to. All right, let's do the little pumpkin. That way you can see, because see where the knot is? It kind of makes the edges hard. So let's go ahead and soften that up a little bit. Where's my white? All right. Some water. Where's my water? So I just put some water. I want to make sure. I want to be able to see these lines, so I don't want to use too much paint. I'm just going to give it a light outline real quick. Just because it is kind of hard to see with that knot that's right there. And when this dries up, I'm going to take my black in the gray and I'm going to take my little teeny brush and I'm going to go around and I'm going to blend it in just to do that. But I'm not going to do that on camera because I need a steady hand for that and I want to make sure I take my time on that part. Okay, so there's my outline of the pumpkin. Now I'm going to come in with some shading. And I'm going to use just a tinge of this yellow here, this yellow color, just for a little different effect from this one. And it'll be so minute that you might not even pick it up on the camera, might not even pick it up. Definitely want to make sure I do the back, the top just a little bit darker just so it looks like it's coming in the top of the pumpkin. And the bottom. Can you restamp over to bring some of the lines back? Absolutely. All right, so let me just do the stem real quick. Here it is. Here's my green brush. And I'm just going to use, this was water that got tainted green from me dipping it in there, so I'm just going to use that. And I just realized, because of the knot, I kind of missed part of the big pumpkin, so the nice thing is, though, is I can just go back and just fix it real quick. There we go. So now, ta-da! Okay, so what do you think? Masking or layering your stamps isn't as hard as you thought it might be, right? It's pretty easy once you know how to use them.